Hello everybody. Today I want to take a little, different approach to my fanfictions, if that makes any sense. Like some other fanfictions that I did, I'm going to be playing some music in the background, very faintly. I really didn't think of what I was going to say. But today, I'm reading a bunch of different fanfiction, not one of those comedy fanfictions, not another clop fiction, which we all love so much. Well, I know I do, because they entertain the crap out of me. I don't know about you guys. But today, I'm reading a story that I read. I don't remember how I found it. Probably found it because it was featured or something. But I read it. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. It's somewhat long. I don't care. I've done long ones before. Today we're reading Our True Colors. I'm not going to say who's in it. I'm not going to say what it actually involves. But if you don't like sad fan fiction, just please go. You won't enjoy this at all. Now, the first one, by the way, the song I'm going to be playing, we're going to be kind of deep, kind of sad. First song we want to play is by Massive Attack. It's called Teardrop. Most of you probably have heard of it. If you haven't, then if you've ever seen House, that's the theme of it. It's Teardrop by Massive Attack. Anywho, yeah, let's get started with the story, shall we? Oh shoot, it's a bit loud. How is it turning up on ISD? Anyway. Oh yeah, the story is by Donnie's Boy. Okay. Synopsis. Scootaloo has never really cared much for Pinkie Pie, and she definitely doesn't like the way Pinkie calls her hero Dashi. But for some strange reason, Pinkie seems fixated on her and insistent on meddling in Scootaloo's life, whether Scootaloo likes it or not. By the way, every chapter starts off with a little quote from True Colors, I believe. Something. You, with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Though I realize it's hard to take courage. Cindy Lauper, True Colors. You're a ward of the state now. The stiff large stallion dressed in heavy-plated armor wore a perfectly blank expression on his broad, serious face. Please come with us, miss, and we'll take you to the orphanage in Philadelphia so that you can... The little Philly didn't wait to hear any more. She ran. From behind, she could hear the shouts of officials as gave chase, but she ignored them. She focused instead on running as fast as she could, faster than she'd ever ran before in her life, as the world around her melted into a blur of indistinct colors and shapes. For she could sense the grown-up ponies catching up, and she dodged left and right as they tried in futility to grab her. She was lucky that only Earth ponies had been sent for her, though. She wasn't at all She wasn't at all sure she would have been able to stay ahead of Pegasi, and of course, unicorns would have just been able to freeze her with their magic. It was only the lucky thing that had happened to her lately. The road came into the view on the horizon, foregrounded against a bleak gray sky. She was starting to flag a little. The last few days had been grueling, emotionally and physically. But she pushed herself onward, tried to find a second wind. And then, when she spotted something on the road up ahead, she grinned ever so slightly, and did find that second wind. A merchant cart, attached to a Pegasus, looked about ready to take off. Excuse me. The filly felt the wind whip through her mane as she headed straight for the cart at a full gallop. The Pegasus was facing away from her, and when she finally reached the cart, she slipped in with all the silence and stealth of the ninja. The cart was full of boxes and books and crates, and a blanket. She quickly pulled the blanket over her head, hiding, and peeked out the back of the cart. Sorry, I need to take a drink. This time I actually have something to drink. I'm like friggin' holding on to. I was miserable with my fucking throat. Oh well. Her pursuers were still coming, but they seemed tired. Too tired to still be yelling. They fully held their breath. Just as it seemed the mean government ponies would nab her, the cart began rolling. It picked up speed, faster and faster, until at last it took into the air. Half terrified and half amazed, Definitely stared down at the other ponies trapped down on the ground, as they began gesturing wildly and shouting something, but she was too far away to hear what they were shouting. The Pegasus didn't seem to hear either. She waited until she was high enough that the ponies chasing her looked no bigger than ants, and only then did she let her out the breath she'd been holding in. Sorry. All at once, the adrenaline drained out of her system, and she felt very, very tired. Oh, that's what I should play next. Whatever. Or just sing right now. I'm so tired, I haven't slept a wink. And although I'm so tired, I don't know. Resting her head on one of the boxes in the cart, she allowed herself to shut her eyes. She told herself she was just giving them a brief rest, just for a few minutes. But soon she was asleep and dreaming. How very sad. She dreamt of beautiful rainbows spanning across the sky in seemingly endless arches, and of impromptu parties held in cells that smelt of rock and wood and vanilla and frosted cake. Hey, how come we never have sleepovers at your house? Scootaloo froze. Bloom stared at her expectantly, patiently, while Sweetie Belle chewed on a muffin. Muffin! I wish I had my muffins. No, I ate my last one today. Yes, I eat muffins. Screw off. They're my muffins. Anywho, time for that song. I doubt you can hear it, but if you can, so be it. But if you can't, well, I can do. Give me a second, would you? You wanna be sued by YouTube? Or whoever the fuck runs this shit? Anyhow, while I wait for that, it's not the Sugar Cube corner. Customers chatting, the front door bell tingling as it opened and closed. Pinkie Pie singing loudly as she pushed a mop around the bakery's main floor. All faded into the background as Scootaloo fought down a sudden surge of panic. Yeah, said Sweetie Belle through a mouthful of muffin. We should have our next sleepover at Scootaloo's place. Young Princess's mind raced. Then she almost laughed. She almost laughed as a brilliant thought came to her. You can't, she blurted out. Then a bit quieter. I mean, you can't. Because I'm a Pegasus Pony and I live in the clouds. Smart. It's fucking smart. I have my cat on me right now. This is slowly ingredient. I said slightly, not entirely. I Sir Pig said I love you now. Clouds. Her ponies and unicorn ponies can't go. You could always ask Twilight Sparkle. Whatever. Oh, said Sweetie Belle, pouting. But Bloom was shaking her head. Nuh-uh, we can't too. God can do cloud walking spells. She nudged the unicorn with her shoulder. My sister said that's how they all got cloud spell, watched Rainbow Dash in the Best Young Flyers competition. Wide-eyed, Scootaloo swallowed, struggled to figure out a backup plan. It was hard, though, and his blind terror started creeping its way up her spine. Why don't you girls have your sleepover here at your corner? Pinkie. The three fillies looked up at the sudden intrusion of a fourth voice. Pinkie stood right beside their table, having seemingly materialized out of thin air, the way she always did. Of course. All the pony wore a broad, friendly smile, which she turned towards each of the three fillies in turn. Scootaloo frowned at Pinkie's eyes, as Pinkie's eyes came to rest on her in particular. Maybe it was just paranoia, but she always felt that Pinkie was paying more attention to her than she did to Sweetie Belle or Bloom. And it weirded her out a little. Actually, it weirded her out a lot. Cat, stop it. He is doing that claw thing, and it's really annoying it. Ow. Ow. Cat, I love you and all, but if you want to be doing this while I record, I'm going to have to close my door and kick you out. Which I don't want to do, because I love you. I don't know, Pinkie. The young Pixie said slowly, trying to keep unease out of her voice. We don't want to, be in any trouble or anything. The other two fillies looked at Scootaloo as if she'd been replaced with a pod pony. Okay. Oh, don't be silly! It's no trouble at all! Pinkie beamed. Then lowering her voice and winking, she added, and you know what? I bet that Rainbow Dash would just love to come help me keep an eye on you girls. Oh, that was a dirty, tricky, unfair move to make. Scootaloo bit her lip, feeling torn. On the one hoof, Rainbow Dash. On the other hoof, Pinkie Pie. It was a dilemma. It really, truly was. Aw, come on, Scoots. I'm still calling her Scoots, so shut up. That's my name for her now. Bloom gave her a playful shove. Say yes, it'll be fun. Grinning, Sweetie Belle nodded to her agreement. Scootaloo finally sighed defeat. Oh, okay. Fine. Whee! Pinkie Pie clapped happily before reaching out to pat all the three girls on their heads. By the way, I gotta say, this story made me love Pinkie Pie unbelievably. She made her into one of my favorite ponies by far. Cat, this still really hurts. Please stop. Now this will be the best slumber party ever. Just give her a few days to get everything set up. Okie dokie? I need to ask Dashy about when she can come over to help. Scootaloo winced at the odious and disrespectful name Dashy, but chose not to respond otherwise. Instead, she rested her chin on the table while Applebloom started babbling about slumber party plans, and Sweetie Belle continued chomping away on her muffin. So feeling suddenly and irrationally peevish, Scootaloo blurted as Pinkie Pie bounced away to resume her mopping and singing. In return, Pinkie Pie shot the Pegasus a smile over her shoulder as she left, but it was a weird smile. A knowing smile. But just what Pinkie Pie knew was something Scootaloo couldn't even begin to guess. The little filly woke up as soon as the Pegasus' cart landed on firm, solid ground. Once the cart rolled to a complete stop, she slowly lifted the edge of her blanket. She glanced around and took stock of her situation. There were little houses and shops all around, ponies milling here and there. Then, down the streets away, she spotted it, a building in the shape of a giant cupcake, reaching up into the sky like a beacon of pure, sugary hope. She grinned. Just a weak little grin, but she grinned. The giant cupcake meant they'd landed in Ponyville. She liked Ponyville. She'd come here every so often with her. She frowned and pushed away the intrusive thoughts. Best not to remember right now. Best to just focus on looking for shelter. Cautiously, the filly snuck out of the cart and darted into a nearby alleyway before the cart's owner could notice anything amiss. She slunk along the ground quickly, searching for somewhere to hide, somewhere safe. After a bit of poking around, she looked at an empty, overturned apple barrel and she crawled inside. It was almost cozy. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction in her accomplishments for the day. As she settled into her newfound home, she was startled by a sudden rumbling in her stomach, reminding her that she hadn't had a bite to eat since last night's dinner. Frowning, she wondered how she was going to find something to satisfy her hunger. She hadn't time to go grab any snacks or bits from her house before the government ponies had come. She sighed softly. It was going to be a long day, and probably even a longer night. And that concludes Chapter 1. Now, I'm not stopping the recording here because we are only about 13 minutes. But while I wait for that to load, I am going to play a song by Soundgarden. It's definitely not going to lighten up the mood at all, but it's a good song. I like it a lot, and one person actually requested it or told me to play this, which I am. This is Fell on Black Days by Soundgarden. Hope you all enjoy. Anyway, Chapter 2. In a world full of people, you can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. Cyndi Lauper, True Colors. She was hungry. She'd been hungry before, in fact. Parents had often complained, not like jokingly and with great affection, that she was eating them out of house and home, but she had never been hungry like this. Her stomach had rumbled at first, and she'd even giggled to herself at the sound, but because it was sounded a bit like what she imagined a dragon's roar might be like. But then, after a while, the rumbling stopped. After that followed the pain. Pain pulling her tight, so tight that she fought her memory apart. She'd cried from the pain, and she'd never cried. She even tried to scrounge through the trash bins at night, but the food she'd been able to find only left her vomiting and weak. Thankfully, the pain only lasted a while. Once the pain was gone, there was nothing left. Only emptiness. She felt hollow. Dead. Every so often, she told herself that she should go try and find something to eat that would make her sick. Sometimes she almost even listened to herself. But then she would remember her mother and father and her sisters, and suddenly she didn't feel like eating anymore. It didn't seem important. I'm actually crying right now because this story is so sad. If you got a problem with that, hush. Her dear old granny would never have countenanced her giving up, however. She'd still been around. Gotta stand tall, face your fears. So towards the end of her very first week in Ponyville, Well, Philly decided that today was going to be the day. She rolled all the safety out of her barrel and, keeping to the shadows as much as possible, carefully made her way to the village marketplace. It felt strange to venture out in the daylight, and she had to express a sigh at that depressing realization. She missed daylight with its sun and its blue skies and its pretty clouds and its rainbows. Rainbows were still her favorite, of course. Rainbows would always be her favorite. But today she wasn't hunting rainbows or other pots of gold. Today she was hunting apples. Almost despite herself, Scootaloo grinned as she stepped into Pinkie Pie's small but cozy apartment. Every inch of the space was decked out in streamers, balloons, and all other kinds of paraphernalia. That's such a weird word. Pinkie had clearly gone full tilt for this slumber party. Slumber party. Scootaloo felt her breath catch in her throat as she spotted a blue, rainbow-maned Pegasus in the far corner, hanging up with the last batch of balloons. Rainbow Dash, you're here! Dash glanced over her shoulder and flushed her in. Hey, Squirt, you excited except for the sleepover? You bet, the younger Pegasus nodded happily. This is going to be the best slumber party ever. Well, of course it is. Ugh. Well, of course it is. Out of nowhere, Pinkie Pie appeared, right next to Scootaloo. She patted the young filly on the head and seemed not to notice Scootaloo's scowl. Your bestest friends are going to be here. That's what makes for great parties. Well, Scoots and Pinkie Pie, I would love you. Well, maybe not Scoots. I'm just fucking with you. I like Scoots. In the actual show, meh, but in Fanfic Fiction, he's pretty damn cool. Beside the point. But Scootaloo was spared any further annoying hand pats when the other two Key Crusaders suddenly burst through the door with loud whoops of laughter and excited chatter. Applejack and Rarity followed, not too far behind, but looking rather tired for how early in the evening it was. Hi, girls, Pinkie greeted, full of good hostess cheer. Hi. Wait. Hi, Pinkie Pie. I couldn't tell who was talking there, so I didn't know what voice to use. At first I thought it was Rarity talking, so I wanted to use my Rarity voice. Whatever. Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom beamed up at the elder mare for a moment before they spotted their friend Scootaloo! Two of the unicorn nerf pony tackled the Pegasus fillet, and the three girls began shuffling playfully along the veritable sea of party balloons covering the floor. But out of the corner of her eyes, Scootaloo kept a watch over the adults. Okay. Wait, sorry. It was always a good idea to keep track of what the adults were doing and saying. Adults can be trusted after all. Not really. Not completely. Are you quite showing up to looking after three of them, darling? Rarity was asking Pinkie Pie in a careful tone. They can be rather the handful. Oh, don't worry, Rarity. Pinkie giggled and dismissively waved to Hoop. It'll be easy peasy would be pleasy. Abandoning the blues, Dash flew over to the other snark. She added, besides, if Fluttershy could do it all on her own, I'm sure the two of us can handle the little Rugrats just fine. Applejack still looked doubtful. All right, then, but if you need anything at all, you run and get us lickety split, you hear? Rarity nodded her enthusiastic agreement. Oh, yes, please do. It was odd even to Scootaloo to witness those two very different ponies agree on something. Almost a sign of the apocalypse. It was unsettling at any rate. I don't know why I'm fucking yawning. Maybe it's because I sit up all night. No. Rolling her eyes, Rainbow started shoving the two overprotective older sisters out the door. Yeah, sure thing. She gave one that shove, then slammed the door shut behind them. I'm gonna take a bit to take a drink. And put on another song. Anywho, yesterday was a busy day for me. Because yesterday was, Friday the 13th. And that's not why I was busy. Because, a new set of magic was released yesterday, which made me kind of happy. But that's beside the point. Anywho, the next song I'm playing right now is by Pearl Jam. It is called Black. And I like that song. So, yeah. If you can hear it, I don't know if you can. You can hear it probably very faintly, if anything. Yeah, like exceedingly faintly. I don't know how sensitive this microphone is. And you don't like it, I apologize, but this is my goddamn fanfiction. So. And, I'm trying to choose music that kind of fits the sadness of this whole. Back to the story. From the other side of the door came Applejack's inner voice. I mean it, Rainbow Dash! But Dash had already turned around again and was rubbing her hooves together gleefully, scheming in mischief, sparkling in her eyes. Oh, God. This is not good. Alright, soldiers, she barked out. You here want to try and hurt her cue mark tonight. Girls exploded into a chorus of enthusiastic shouts and cheering. Scootaloo cheered the loudest of all. Oh well. Even old Pinkie was pouting a bit. Aw, Dashy, but what about all my party games? Plenty of time for that later, Pinks. Pinks. Pixis grinned and quirked an eyebrow at the three fellas. So, any of you girls ever tried boulder wrestling? How does that work? Boulder wrestling, as it quickly turned out, was not as easy as Scootaloo had thought it would be. It was also not her special talent. It was fun though. She laughed when Sweetbelle ended up sprawled on her back, rumbling and spitting out all the tiny pebbles that somehow had gotten lodged in her mouth. She nearly broke her back and tried to boost Apple Bloom up to a particularly large rock. Apple Bloom couldn't stop giggling the entire time. Somehow, inexplicably, all the three sailors ended up covered in tree sap. Even though there weren't any trees anywhere near where they had gone boulder wrestling. Seriously, how does that always happen? Surprising, isn't it? Plus, Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie seemed to have a good time too. They kept calling one of the boulders Tom and chortling to one another anyways. Which was admittedly kind of weird, but still. Oh, if only Rarity knew. If only Rarity knew Tom was there. That brave soldier everyone had to stand. Go back to her, Tom. Go back to her. We salute you. And Dash laughed good-naturedly when Scootaloo tumbled off the boulder and actually reached out to offer her a hoof back up. After Scootaloo was back on all fours, Dash then brushed off all the dirt and grabbed from her wings and back, the older mare's hooves, surprisingly gentle. Scootaloo wondered if her heart might actually burst from all the joy she felt. When they returned to the relative safety of Syracuse Corner, and were greeted by platters piled high with Pinkie Pie's famous cupcakes, oh dear God, that was just the icing on the proverbial cake. Well, actually, it was the icing on the literal cupcake too, now that she thought about it. Oh God, well Rainbow Dash is still here. Oh Jesus Christ, we haven't seen Twilight yet. Crap. Fuck. Out of all the ponies. Fuck. But a party was no time to engage in deep philosophical debate. Scootaloo happily dug into the towers of dessert with exuberant abandon, as her two best friends in the whole world were right by her side doing the same. All while Rainbow Dash guzzled down punch and made loud, belching noises. Once, everything in Scootaloo's life was absolutely perfect. Maybe that was why. And Pinkie stuck up behind her and enveloped her in one of those powerful, over-enthusiastic pink hugs. Scootaloo just sat there and submitted to it. Sort of Pinkie Pie was a little too touchy-feely. She was just being Pinkie Pie after all. Not so bad. So instead of trying to reel her way free, as she would on any other day, she just calmly continued to eat her cupcake. Still hugging the filly, Pinkie leaned forward and whispered in a tone full of concern, "Did you get enough to eat?" It was an odd question. Shouldn't have been an odd question, but it was. Scootaloo shrugged. Yeah, sure, I guess. Because there's lots more food if you didn't. Pinkie Pie's voice was still unusually quiet, and her tone almost urgent. And, well, if you're ever nearby and get hungry, you just come right over to the Sugar Cube corner, okay? Just come right in, and your Auntie Pinkie Pie will get you whatever your little pixie's heart desires on the house. There's a beat of silence. Okay. Scootaloo heard herself agree, as if to understand. Good! And then Pinkie Pie released her hold on the young Pexis and really bounced away. It was the exact same moment that Sweetie Belle found Pinkie the accordion. I forgot she had an accordion! But she probably started playing, and that was that Apple started the staring contest with Gummy, which she probably lost. And just like that, everything was back to normal. It was almost as if that weird little moment with Pinkie Pie never happened. Scootaloo decided not to think about it too much. Scootaloo was turning out much better than she thought it would, and she didn't want to ruin it, so she didn't think about it. Anyhow, yeah. I don't know what to say. Now, yep, stop flying me. I'm playing another Massive Attack song. Woo! This one is called Angel. I love this song. It's the first ever Massive Attack song I ever heard. I loved it. It's a good song, okay? Shut up. So, now that I'm playing the song again, back to the sad part. Hidden behind a pair of bushes, the little filly picked out between the... Let me start that over. Hidden behind a pair of bushes, the little filly peeked out between the bristly leaves and kept close watch over the market apple stand. She originally wanted to go to the bakery, but the scent that wafted from that building always smelled so good. And ponies who worked there always seemed to be happy and smiling. But there were simply too many customers there. I don't think she'd be able to sneak in without getting caught. Besides, she'd grown to like this apple farmer too. She always sounded a bit cranky and irritable, but she had a kind, loving eyes. And the filly had learned that while it was easy to lie with words, it was much harder to lie with your eyes. Plus, the elder mare frequently brought her grandchildren along for help behind the apple stand, and the filly had dearly missed seeing and talking and playing with the elder children. Watching these foals in the marketplace, while safely concealed in one of her many hiding places, was almost as good. Almost. Two younger apple farmers were there today, in fact. Big red colt, as large and strong as any she'd seen, and a smaller orange filly. Usually they spent their time in the marketplace running apples and stands or engaged in countless wrestling matches. They were somewhat subdued at the present moment. She didn't know why. Silently, she watched as the colt gave the filly an affectionate nuzzle, and her heart seized in her chest. It had been seeing ages since she felt the touch of another pony, since right before the accident. Suddenly, her body ached with an acute and desperate need to be held, to nuzzle, to cuddle, every kind of touch. It hurt worse than being hungry hurt, and it took all of her willpower and self-control to not rush out for herself at the two foals before her and embrace them in a crushing hug. She decided then and there that if she somehow made it through all this, she would give hugs to every pony she'd ever met. She would give hugs to every pony who needed them, because no pony should have to go without another's friendly touch. It was one of the best decisions she had ever made. She was absolutely sure of it. And that, everybody, was chapter 2. Take a bit of drink. I'm going to take a bit to talk. And I'm going to search for another song because I need to. What do you think, Cat? What do you think I should search up? What do you think I should search up, Peter? Crap, I can't think of anything. Anyway, what have you guys been up to lately? I've been just kind of relaxing, I guess. Yesterday was busy, as I said, whole new magic set and all, and it was one of the core sets, which are my favorite by far. So, it was busy for me. Anyhow, I just put up a song. I'm just search that up as we speak. And yeah, then I'm gonna play it. Why the fuck didn't I just try these guys originally? Anyhow, this song is called Mother by Pink Floyd. If you don't know who they are, I'm ashamed of you. I love Pink Floyd, I love them to death, and this is going to be a long video, I'm sure of it. Anyhow, show me a smile then, don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. Cyndi Lauper, True Colors. Hey! The voice was young, but sharp as flint. You gotta pay for them apples. She ran, darting through the marketplace, her stolen asphalt grasped firmly between her teeth. The filly threaded her way through the crowd's bounties, through merchant stands, through all sorts of obstacles that seemed designed for the best purpose of slowing her down. From behind, she could hear her pony galloping after her, but she dared not risk glancing back for fear of stumbling and falling. She chose not to head directly for her alley. Instead, she ran up streets and down streets, zigzagging through the town as if it were as though it were a giant maze. Until she could no longer hear any trace of her pursuer. Finally, she paused. Just long enough to take a look around, and she felt a rush of relief when she didn't see anyone behind her. Only then did she creep back to the relative safety of her alley. Taking one last furtive glance around, she set the apple down next to her barrel. She stared at it along the lane, with her dry, cracked lips. I got you now, you no good apple-thieving varmint. She gave a jump and rolled around. Right at the end of the alley stood the orange filly from the marketplace, her legs splayed out in a wide, aggressive stance. As the other Earth Pony began advancing on her, whoa, other Earth Pony? I wonder who this is. She shrank back and cowered close to the ground. Then something changed. The orange pony's eyes went wide, as though she'd seen a ghost. She froze right in her tracks. Well, fuck at you. You're nothing but skin and bones. The young apple farmer's voice had gone quiet and gentle, no trace left of its earlier harshness. Ah, shoot. You can keep the apple. She looked down at the apple and then back up. Is this a trick? A trap? She wasn't sure. Go on. The other filly urged, nodding, her eyes bright and open and honest. Frowning a bit, she took a tentative bite, her gaze never leaving the pony in front of her. She chewed awkwardly. It felt foreign and strange to have food in her mouth after all this time. Name's Applejack, by the way, the orange filly said, smiling. How are you? She opened her mouth to reply, then thought better of it. When she told this pony her name, many government ponies might be able to find her. She didn't want that. She wasn't entirely sure why that was so important, but it was. She couldn't go to Philadelphia. She just couldn't. It was bad enough that she'd have to leave the farm. Okay, I think it's relatively safe now to say it. This person, this dialogue's talking about, I think they've given enough hints that this is actually Pinkie Pie. I think they've given enough hints, like, at the farm, sisters, her grandmother saying all those things. Yeah, this is actually talking about Pinkie Pie when she was just a little filly. I'm not going to say what happened or anything, but this is Pinkie Pie. So instead of answering Applejack's question, she just bit off another chunk of apple. Chewing and swallowing went easier with the second bite. Applejack smiled faltered a bit. Can't you talk? She only stared in reply, munching on a delicious apple and basking in the other pony's presence. A feeling almost like contentment settled over her. It was miles away from anything like happiness was really, but it was something. She didn't feel quite so empty anymore. Finally, Applejack said, "Look, I gotta get back to the apple stand, because I know Gran will be wondering where I got off to, but..." She put her eyes towards the entrance to the alley. "I'll meet you here same time tomorrow, alright? And I'll bring you another apple." For a moment she couldn't move, almost couldn't breathe. Then she rocketed forward, throwing her forelegs around Applejack and hugging him as tightly as she could. She could hear Applejack let out a soft, surprised grunt. But then, after a moment, she felt the other filly awkwardly return the embrace. "I'm gonna throw you a party someday, Applejack," she promised, silently but fervently. Biggest and bestest party ever. Okay, if that doesn't tell you who it is, then nothing will. So, it's Pinkie Pie. But back to the story. Scootaloo stood outside, a dark and silent sugar cube corner, paralyzed with indecision. Should I eat the blue one or the red one? They're both delicious. Okay, no. From above, freezing rain beat down on her, soaking her to the bone and causing little prickles of pain along her sensitive wings. She bit her lip. Pinkie had said she'd come by, but surely she meant only during the day. Neither who, Pinkie had explicitly said that she could only come during the daytime. So maybe that meant it was okay to drop by at night too. Ugh, all this thinking was so not Scootaloo's thing. She was a filly of action, not contemplation. She should go, she decided. Quickly she turned around and began slinking away, her head low and her mane plastered to her face. She should go. It was stupid to come here anyway. She shouldn't have come. She didn't even like Pinkie Pie. Stupid. Why'd she even bother to... Scootaloo? She stopped. The voice calling her name sounded faint through the thunder and lightning, but it was indiscernible. Real, not imagined. Scootaloo! Hey, Scoots, come over here! Slowly she turned back around. The front door to Sugar Cube Corner was thrown wide open. Warm light streaming from inside, and a familiar-looking silhouette was gesturing wildly from the doorway. Something strange fluttered in Scootaloo's chest. Unless she ignored. Instead, she walked back towards the bakery, kept to be slow and deliberate, and to not seem too eager. And Pinkie Pie yanked her inside as soon as she was in way. Oh my god, I can't freaking talk! As she was within reach. Why can I not talk? I apologize. This is helping with my speech skills though. That's for sure. Because before this, I fucked up all the time like this. That's all. Anyway, next song is also by Pink Floyd. It's Wish You Were Here, which reminds me of the girl I like, which is very sad for me. So But it's kind of a relaxing, kind of sad song, so that's not bad. Slowly, she wait, no, wrong part. Mere minutes later, she found herself plunked down in a bathtub full of nice, warm, relaxing water. It was an infinitely superior position to be in than stuck outside in the cold rain, so Scootaloo didn't even protest all that much when P began lathering her mane with shampoo. That didn't mean she didn't protest at all, though. Ah, baby, she grumbled, throwing in an eye roll for good measure. I wash myself, you know. Oh, I know that, silly. Pinkie replied with much cheerfulness as ever. She began rinsing. But sometimes it's just really nice to have somebody do things for you. Don't you think? Scootaloo remembered how it felt when Rainbow Dash pulled her to her feet and brushed her off. She remembered her and felt a warm glow of the memory, even as Pinkie's hooves ran through her mane carefully and painlessly, and doing all with tangles and snarls. No! Said Scootaloo firmly. Pinkie seemed to deflate just a little bit, but quickly recovered. Oh, that's okay. She grabbed a nearby towel and placed it on the edge of the tub. I'll have to dry yourself off then. Yeah, it works. And then Pinkie Pie was dancing off, heading downstairs, and Scootaloo felt a slight pang as she watched the older pony leave. She hadn't meant to be rude, it was just she didn't know. She sighed, stepping out of the tub. She gave herself a throw shake, took the towel, and began drying her dripping mane and coat. By the time she'd finished, Pinkie had returned upstairs, carrying a tray of goodies in her mouth. Scootaloo eyed the food tray greedily as Pinkie set it down on the large dining table. There was a hay sandwich and hot chocolate and a slice of pie, almost the size of Scootaloo's head. Damn, he must have a small head. Scootaloo's stomach growled quite loudly. She glanced up at Pinkie Pie and felt suddenly and strangely hesitant. Go on! Pete urged, nodding her eyes bright and open, laughing. Story. That was all she needed. Backpack just hungrily attacked the tray of food, gobbling down huge bites, serving noisily at the hot chocolate. It was delicious! It was perfect. Once or twice she lifted her eyes and glanced over at Pinkie in a self-conscious way. Each time the older mare just grinned and motioned her for her to continue eating. So she did. I get the same way when I eat anything around people. It's an odd thing I have. After she finished, she sat back with a contented groan. A warm, happy fullness spread slowly through her body. She struggled to stifle a yawn. Still grinning, Pinkie Pie gave the Pegasus a wink, picked up the food tray again, and trotted back downstairs. Scootaloo finally gave in to the urge to yawn as soon as the other pony left the little apartment. She took a look around the room, as though seeing it for the very first time, and, as if in answer to her very last prayer, she spotted a pile of pillows near the window. She headed over the pillows and told herself she just lay down for a while. Maybe shut her eyes. I need her rest. Just for a while. When she awoke, everything was dark, and she had no idea where she was. A bolt of panicky terror shot through her heart like lightning. Not good, not good, not good, not good, not good. There was a loud brain snore that ended in a snort. Wait, was that pointed at by a lumberjack? Groggily shook her head, trying to clear it. Her eyes slowly adjusted to the scant light around her, and as they did, she could make out the four-foot bed, or the bed, a small alligator sat there, blinking unevenly, his creepy purple eyes gleamed in the darkness. Pinkie's apartment, she realized from the start. She was still at Pinkie's. Scootaloo wasn't sure whether she found this reassuring or not, though. As her eyes continued to scan the room, she spotted the source of all the noise, which was Pinkie by herself, curled up in a chair with blankets snoring away. Scootaloo couldn't help but crack a grin at the fact that Pink Earth Pony was just as loud as she was awake. As she glanced out the window and saw that the rain had finally stopped, she should leave. Surely Pinkie would want her bed back, and besides, Scootaloo had better places to be, so she should go. She didn't want to go. Maybe it'd be okay to stay then, just this once. Maybe. With a quiet yawn, Scootaloo snuggled further into Pinkie's bed, and under its mess of blankets, they were soft and warm, and smelled vaguely of cotton candy. It was a sweet smell. Well, too sweet, really, but it wasn't so bad. Slightly, she wondered why Pinkie hadn't even bothered to ask why Scootaloo had just shown up at her doorstep in the middle of the night, in the rain. But she was too tired to really pursue the very far. She quickly fell back into a restful dream of sleep. Well, Pinkie Pie did give you a knowing smile once. Maybe she knows something. Only time will tell, though. Because I'm not going to spoil. I hope. Yeah, I'll probably will at some point. Whatever. Now I'm gonna play a bit of Nirvana. Why? Because Nirvana kicks ass. So, shut up. Anywho, one second. Anywho, there we are. Back to the story. Keep eating that fast, you're going to choke. Applejack sounded amused. This was the 4th day in a row that Applejack had returned to her little alley. The 4th day that Applejack had come back to her, bearing the gifts of a friendly smile and a delicious apple. She still felt a bit nervous about it all, a bit worried about those government ponies, who was certain still wanted to take her away. But she couldn't deny that she cherished having a bit of company. They all like to get lonely sometimes. Well, a lot of the time. All the time, really. Cheers to now. Slow down, Sugar Cube. That apple ain't going nowhere. But she couldn't, even when she tried. She couldn't make herself slow down. It was as though if she didn't eat the apples as quickly as possible, or dared glance away even for a second, they might magically disappear. It was a silly fear, but it was a real fear nonetheless. It struck down to the very bottom of her heart. Applejack sighed, the way she always did when she realized her nice, sensible words were going to be steadfastly ignored. Then, in a completely different tone of voice, she said, "I'm gonna find something to call you. I told you my name so far, so it's only fair." As the last filly glanced up from her apple, her curiosity at last momentarily winning out over her hunger. The orange pony was squinting at her thoughtfully. "Can't think of anything good, though. You don't ever say nothing to me, so it's not like there's much I know about you, really. All I know is that you're pink all over," and suddenly Applejack's eyes lit up. "Hey, that's it! Pinkie! Call you Pinkie!" Well, Philly tilted her head and considered the proposed name. Pinkie. Nobody had ever called her that before, but instantly she said that she liked a nickname. She said that Pinkie was some pony that she could be. Who she would be someday be. Forgetting all about her apple for the moment, Pinkie smiled at the orange earthy pony, smiled at her friend, and Applejack smiled back. Hey, Pinkie. Anywho, I'm gonna make this another long video. Why? Because fuck you, I want to. What can I say? I like making long videos. Anywho, before I continue on, fuck, I can't think of anything. Sergeant Shy Guy, you're very welcome. Engine Rollins 211, you're oh so awesome. You are probably want to be hearing this soon, because I just read your comment. Of course you deserve that shout out. You're awesome. If it wasn't for you, I probably would have never found that. Mostly because I'm very lazy and I don't know where to look for these things, but of course I would shout you out. Oh well. I got a new song. Also about Soundgarden, because I like Soundgarden. So, yeah, that's why. That's the only reason why I like Soundgarden. Anyway, back to the story. Chapter 4. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. City Lopper, true colors, blah blah. It's getting harder and harder to speak. When we sat together in Pinkie Pie's alley. Whoa. That's an explicit name right there. Pinkie Pie's alley. Pinkie would quietly eat her apple, and Applejack would talk to her while she ate. Usually the orange foam pony would chat about harmless little topics such as school or the apple orchards or next week's rodeo. Every so often she'd touch her. Always inadvertently, of course, but even so it would hurt. But not as much as it hurt to stay silent. And I ain't never heard of her ever cry as much as that balloon does. Do you reckon there's something wrong with her? That's Granny Smith, but Granny just said she's teething, and I don't know what that'd make her cry. I've cocked her head a bit. You ain't got any sisters, do you? And every day it grew a bit harder to resist, to keep her mouth shut. Always lots of hard work on the farm, but it sure beats his fantasy of life. Didn't enjoy having a single minute of that town stayed in Manhattan, I tell you what. Say, you ever been to a farm? It wasn't that she just trusted Applejack. There probably wasn't a pony she trusted more in her entire life. No, it was the entire rest of the world that she was unsure of. Gotta admit, I feel lucky for having met you, Pinkie. Tell the truth, me and Big Mouth were feeling awful sad that day you stole the apple, because that day we'd just come from the market straight from... She hesitated, awkwardly cleared her throat. In the cemetery. It was a year ago to the day that our mom and pa passed away. It was getting harder and harder not to speak. Too hard. My parents died too, whispered Pinkie, her voice low and rough from disuse, the words like gravel in her mouth. Applejack gave a jump and her eyes went wide with pride. You can talk! Of course I can talk, silly. Pinkie smiled a bit wanly. Why wouldn't I be able to talk? The other pony just stared, utterly speechless, utterly dumbfounded, her jowl hanging wide open. Her round green eyes blinked owlishly once, then twice. Slowly, Pinkie Pie crept forward and wrapped her front legs around Applejack, a gentle but firm embrace. She buried her frights in her friend's coarse, straw-colored mane. I'm really sorry about your parents, Applejack, she murmured as her eyes began staining in an all too familiar way. Thanks. Thanks, Pinkie. One of the Applejack's hooves reached up to rest lightly on Pinkie's back. Yours too, huh? Pinkie nodded. Uh-huh. And my sisters. I have 2 sisters. After a moment's hesitation, Applejack gave her a nuzzle. I'm mighty sorry about your family, she muttered, her voice sounding muffled and far away. Does the pain ever go away, Applejack? Pinkie knew that her friend wouldn't lie to her, and Applejack didn't. No, it don't. But it doesn't always hurt so much as bad as it hurts at first. No. For several long minutes, the two villagers just sat there, holding one another, together in a dark and dingy alley. Not a word passed between them. That must be pretty awkward to see. I'm crying, right? Fuck you, this is really sad and emotional. Ugh. But that must be really awkward. If some pony just passed by, it's like, oh, would you look at that? 2 little fillies hugging in a dark alley that looks perfectly safe. That's very normal. Let's be on my way then. Doo-doo. Whatever. They didn't speak, and they didn't cry, and they didn't yell or scream. They just held each other and listened to each other's breaths. Just held each other and took comfort in the steady drumbeat of the other's filly's broken, but still beating heart. Hey, thanks, you in? With a fierce grin, Scootaloo looked up from the table where she was seated doing homework. Immediately at the table were school books laid spread out amidst a pile of cupcakes and apples and multicolored party hats was completely forgotten. Rainbow Dash! Twinkling, rose-colored eyes turned in her direction. Oh, hey, Squirt! In a flash, Scootaloo had pushed away from the table and tackled Rainbow Dash to the floor with a happy laugh. Well, Dash let out a grunt upon impact. There, for a split second, a tangle of limbs and wings. And Scootaloo had to resist a strong and sudden urge to bury her face in Dash's mane. Instead, she just hugged the older Pegasus as tight as she could. The circled Dash quickly wiggled herself free of the embrace and stood back up, shaking out her ruffled wings a bit as she did. Scootaloo hopped back up. She couldn't stop grinning. You've been spending way too much time with Pinkie, Pat, Dash complained, all but good-naturedly, as she gave Scootaloo's head an affectionate tussle. Too much time, Pinkie Pie? Never! Came a cheery voice from behind. 2 Pegasi turned around and chimed to see the mistress of the house come galloping up to them. Hi, Dashy. Rainbow gave the Earth Pony a casual nod and greeting. We're still on for pranks today, right? Because I'd so totally owe one to a certain uptight stick-in-the-mud, fun-hating apple farmer. Oh, absolutely, positively. You know I look forward to prank day all week. Then Pinkie Pie frowned thoughtfully. Let's towards Scootaloo, and Scootaloo chanced up. Daffy? What's we gonna get, just for today, we could, The adult Pegasus's wings drooped just the tiniest bit. Oh, I mean... Dash suddenly put on a smile. Oh, sure, why not? Come on, you wanna come play pranks with us, Scootaloo? Scootaloo, hold her breath. You really want me to come with you guys? Of course we do, silly filly! Exclaimed Pinkie, so enthusiastically with a smile so bright that the orange Pegasus almost believed her. Almost, not entirely though. Yes, it is, Captain. Yes, it is. And now it's time for Leonard Skinner. You all knew this was going to happen eventually. Then, when Rainbow Dash didn't say anything for a moment, Pinkie gave her a hard nudge with her hip, and the Pegasus snapped to its sudden attention. Yeah, of course we do, Rainbow Dash agreed, nodding rapidly. So grab your scooter and let's get the show on the road. The prank, as it turned out, involved hiding the dozens of bushels of apples they'd found in the apple family's barn and replacing them with an equivalent number of carrots. Really didn't even know where Pinkie had gone all those carrots, or she transported them out to the farm without even knowing that that's where the prank would be. And against her better instincts, she'd been tempted to actually question the strange pig pony on the matter. But then she caught sight of Rainbow Dash, slowly shaking her head and mouthing the words, "Ask." And she decided it was probably a good idea to listen to Dash. Dash had more experience in dealing with the mysteries of Pinkie Pie, after all. Nobody has experience in dealing with the mysteries of Pinkie Pie. Nobody does. You just can't. Just a second later, Applejack walked in the barn and froze at once upon entering. A series of very interesting expressions passed over Applejack's face as the farmer stared at the mounds of carrots. A series of very amusing sounds that were not quite words came powering out of Applejack's mouth. I'm going to try and imitate those. I'm going to assume it's something like that. Then the farmer's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Pinkie and Rainbow, she proudly muttered in a tone filled with calm resignation. Safely hidden behind a bale of hay, Scootaloo glanced over to Dashy and Pinkie. Or, what the fuck did I say, Dashy? Over to Dash and Pinkie, who were grinning hugely and stifling giggles. She wondered if they would end up in trouble and chewed nervously on her lower lip. She hoped not. It might make her rather awkward to have Key Mark Satyr meetings at the clubhouse if Applejack banned her from Sweet Apple Massacre. Oh my god, I almost said Sweet Apple Massacres. I friggin' hate myself. I didn't swear because this is a video that I want children to watch, possibly. Probably shouldn't, though. Knowing me. Emma, y'all might as well come out. Come on out and pay the piper, the farm pony called out to seemingly empty barn. I know y'all are in here. Almost instantly, Pinkie bounded out from behind the hay bales and launched herself at Applejack like a pink missile of sugar-fueled joy. You gotta think about it. 2 earth ponies filled the floor of the barn as Pinkie happily threw her forelegs around Applejack's neck. With a sigh and chuckle, Applejack put her foreleg around Pinkie's shoulders and hugged her back. Hiya, AJ! Pinkie Bear giggled. Did you like her prank? Did you? Applejack gently shoved Pinkie off top of her before standing back up. She rose adjusted her head. Howdy there, Pinkie Pie. Prank was just grand. Now, where'd you put all my apples? Rainbow Dash's head popped up from behind the bay. They're up in the rafters, she replied, pointing with a hoof. Then, with a wide grin, she grabbed Scootaloo from where she was crouching behind the hay, still hiding, and held the young Pegasus to her feet. It was Scoots out of you, actually. Put all the apples up there. Flushing a bit, Scootaloo smiled weakly and gave Applejack a tepid wave. You too, huh? With an amused snort, the farm pony added, good to see these paraloons have been such a good influence on you. Hey, I'm a great influence. Dash shot back, thumping her on chest with a forehoof. If the kid sticks with me, she might just turn out to be half as awesome as I am. Someday. Maybe. Nice. But Applejack wasn't listening anymore. She was staring at Pinkie, eyes sharp and intent, and Pinkie was returning her stare with an unreadable expression on her face. Scootaloo felt all of the good feelings that had been building up inside her chest in response to Rainbow Dash's praise suddenly drain away. Still fluttered in a familiar, unpleasant way, and she silently braced herself for whatever was going to come next. Pinkie broke her gaze with Applejack and looked over to Dash. In an overly bright voice, she said, Hey Dashy, why don't you take Lulu for a quick flight lesson? Lulu? I still prefer Scoots. Scootaloo immediately frowned at the nickname. That was new. Eva had never called her that before, and she was pretty sure it was the worst nickname the pony could have possibly meant for her. Makes me wonder, what would she hate more, Scoots or Lulu? I kind of like Lulu, I don't know why. Because it doesn't fit her at all, but that's what makes it awesome. Whatever. Yeah, okay, sure. The other Pegasus's eyes moved back and forth between the 2 earth ponies. She seemed almost nervous. Actually, Pigs, that's a great idea. She clapped Scootaloo on the back. You want to go on about hovering and take off, kiddo? Would I? The words were out of Scootaloo's mouth in an instant, before she could think of it better before she can think better of them. Excuse me. An uncontrollable and automatic response to an offer to spend the time with her hero. Would I ever, Rainbow Dash? And then, before she could change her mind, Dash was ushering her towards the door of the barn and practically shoving her outside. Scootaloo was able to sneak a glance over her shoulder right before she was dragged all the way out. Pinkie gave her a reassuring smile and wave. Applejack simply frowned. But despite Pinkie's smile, the bad feeling in Scootaloo's stomach didn't go away. Adults couldn't be trusted after all. Not really. Not completely. So she walked slower than she usually would, as Rainbow Dash cantered her head ahead, babbling about flight techniques and air resistance and sonic rain booms. She seemed to be heading for the farmyard. Scootaloo slowed down even more. Dash didn't seem to notice as Scootaloo fell farther and farther behind, and once they were far enough separated, Scootaloo quietly turned around and strolled back toward the barn. The barn door was open a crack, and she leaned as close to the door as she could without actually touching it. Strange listened, but she just barely made out the voices of the two ponies who were still inside. She's still way too dang fan. That was Applejack. She sounded angry? Sad, maybe? I know. Pinkie's voice. Definitely sad. Don't get me wrong now. She's doing much better than she was, but she's still... I know. Applejack sighed deeply. It's not that I ain't sympathetic here, Pinkie. I just wonder if... I just don't know if it's enough all we're doing. That's all. I think we really ought to... No, Applejack! Scootaloo never heard a tone like that from Pinkie before, and she could feel the fur on her back of her neck stand up. But that harsh note in Pinkie's voice disappeared completely a second later, as the pink Earth Pony quickly added, I'm super sorry, Avie. I didn't mean to sound like such a meanie pants, but she really needs her friends. She needs something more permanent is what she needs. She still ain't coming to your place but once or twice a week, and that just ain't enough. She needs food. It was Pinkie's turn to sigh. You can starve for things other than the food, you know. You can starve for friendship, or for laughter, or for love. There was a long silence. Finally, the farmer let out a soft whinny. Oh, shoot. If you weren't standing right in front of me, Pink. In front of me, Pink as ever. I just heard Twilight Sparkle talking to me right then. Huh? Twilight? Yes, ma'am. Just now, you sound about as wise as she does when she starts writing at the princess. There was another time short this time. Speaking of Twilight, though. What about Twilight? Pinkie's question crackled with nervous energy. She's going to figure things out eventually. She's got her blind spot, sure enough, but she ain't stupid. If she does figure it out, you know she's going to want to ride with Princess Celestia. We're just so close, AJ. We're so close to finding her somewhere where she can... Scootaloo's detective was distracted by a slightly rustling noise from behind. Hey, Squirt. The voice was quiet, but gentle, but very, very close. Disturbingly close. Almost involuntarily, Scootaloo gave a jump and rolled around. Her wings spread out in a reflective defensive display. Wing motor! Okay, now. Rainbow stood directly behind her, almost close enough to touch. Her eyes were sad, and Scootaloo felt suddenly sick and dizzy with confusion, because Rainbow Dash's eyes weren't supposed to ever look that sad. Probably shouldn't spy on other ponies like that, said the older mare, but there was no heat in her voice, no anger, just the same sadness that pervaded her deep pink eyes. She knows. Oh dear. Scootaloo's heart began thundering against her ribs, threatening to break her chest, threatening to explode like a cannon. She tried to swallow the saliva in her mouth, but it choked her. They know. Slowly, Scootaloo began backing away, and Dash took a step forward, looking concerned. Whoa, you okay there, Scoots? They all know. She ran. Okay, now we're back to the Pinkie section. Do you trust me? Pinkie felt a thrill of fear as she heard the words, but Applejack was staring at her with those wide green eyes, her face a completely open book, and there was nothing but friendliness and affection in those eyes and that face. Honest about herself, Pinkie felt her tentatively nod her head. Good. Glad to hear it shiver. Applejack grinned, because there's some pony I want you to meet. She glanced towards the entrance of the alleyway. Oh my, this is quite awkward. Okay, now. And Pinkie followed her friend's gaze. Right there stood the apple farm from the marketplace. Applejack's grandmother. Granny Smith. Almost involuntary, Pinkie began backing away. A wave of trembling ran up and down her body, and her stomach gave a sudden lurch. She forced herself to take a deep breath, to stand up tall, face her fears. She raised her head and looked at Applejack's grandmother in the eye. You're a scrawny little thing, ain't you? Said the elderly mare, her voice locked in her eyes unblinking. Get yourself a name? Pinkie swallowed. She sneaked a nervous glance over to Applejack, who simply smiled and gave her a reassuring nod. Pinkie, Philly finally replied, in a voice that was hardly more than a whisper. My name's Pinkie Pie. Granny Smith took a few steps further into the alley, and she cast a look around, taking in their surroundings, and frowned when she spotted all the trash bins and garbage. And this where you've been living? Unsure of what she should say, or what would be the right answer, Pinkie decided to go with the truth. Yes, ma'am. Something dark and unreadable passed over the older mayor's face. Pinkie quavered and all forward, but the fearsome expression was gone almost as quickly as it came, and Granny Smith lowered her head so that she and Pinkie were now at the same eye level. Hey now, Billy. Granny Smith's voice said gentle, just a touch, and Pinkie heard in her tone some of the same rough tenderness with which Applejack always spoke. I ain't gonna hurt you none. I know. You're Applejack's Granny. And I know Applejack wouldn't let anything bad happen. But you're still scared, ain't she? Biting her lip, Pinkie slowly nodded. Well, lucky for you, I know just the trick for that. Granny Smith gave her a smile and a wink. A cupcake from Shortview Corner ought to fix you right up, I reckon. What do you say, Billy? There was only one possible answer to that, of course. All three of them knew it. Obviously. Would you honestly deny Cupcake? Because I sure as hell wouldn't if I was in that kind of living situation. And very slowly, very cautiously, Pinkie smiled back. Alright, chapter 5. There is a chapter after this. I'm actually going to go pause for a second. I need to go find something. I do hope this actually, pauses the damn recording instead of, keeps on recording, which would be very awkward. Now in the recording. Alright, everybody, I'm back from the recording. These little spike. Pause, rather. Couldn't find what I was looking for, sadly. I was also looking for a hairband because my hair is wet and I wish to push it in a ponytail so it doesn't bloody bother me, but that's not going to happen now, is it? I'm now playing Pink Floyd album by, because why not? Chapter 5. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up because I'll be there. Cupcake was almost the size of her entire head. Sat on the counter in front of her, tall, proud, a visionary masterpiece of chocolate cake and vanilla frosting. Pinkie Pie and nearly wept at the beauty of it all. Her mouth watered, she licked her lips. It's almost too difficult to tear her eyes away from the glorious treat, but she forced herself to do so, just so you can take a look around the bakery. Because the bakery itself was every inch as beautiful as the cupcake that it had produced. The interior had been decorated in warm, rich colors, such a lovely and stark contrast to the gray monotony with which she'd grown up. A majestic symphony of tasty scents wafted through the entire shop, and the happy chatter and laughter of the bakery customers rang through the air like church bells. Pinkie Pie didn't know if this there was heaven or not, but if there was, she was absolutely certain that it must look exactly like Sugar Cube Corner. If that's the case, that'd be awesome. I want to meet Pinkie Pie. Whatever. From somewhere to her left, Granny Smith appeared to soft snort. Well, go on, Philly. Hey, that there cupcake ain't one of you yourself. That's adorable. That finally broke Pinkie out of her reverie. Without any further ado, she lunged forward and buried her face in the cupcake, happily craving in its sweet, sugary scent as she began devouring the dessert. It was the most delicious thing she'd ever eaten in her entire life. Ever! After she finished, she leaned back with a heartfelt, satisfied sigh. Oh, my. Came a quiet voice up from behind. Pinkie glanced over and saw a light blue mare with a pink mare, staring at her with undisguised wonder. You sure can put away food, in rather a hurry, can't you, Larry? Over Pinkie's right, Applejack chuckled as she ate her own cupcake at a more leisurely pace. She replied while still chewing. Spraying crumbs at her indiscriminately, she said, "She like Mrs. Cake. Think that was something. She'd been gulping down the apples I've been giving her." Mrs. Cake faded two pillars with an indulgent smile. I can imagine. I must say, it does warm my heart to see me and my baking being enjoyed so much. Grinning wildly, Pinkie gave her belly a small pat. Oh gosh, Mrs. Cake, of course I enjoyed it. That was the bestest cookie you've ever had. That's very sweet of you to say, Pinkie. Suddenly the bakery owner's eyes darted over to Granny Smith, and Granny Smith gave a slightly nod. Actually, dearie, I was wondering. Pinkie got touched up immediately. She could feel Applejack leaning against her in a friendly sort of way, but she dared not take her eyes off the adults. For her own part, Mrs. Cake's smile never wavered. I was just wondering if you'd like to learn the cupcakes too. Oh, all sorts of desserts, really. Little Pink Philly swallowed. She stressed herself to speak. Carrot and I are doing more and more business lately. This kid continued on in a slightly nervous tone as she sneaked another glance towards Applejack's grandmother, and would love to have some help in the bakery. Applejack gave Pinkie a nudge over her shoulder. Hey now, I bet you make a real fine baker. Hey now, or rather, hey now, I bet you made a real fine baker. This kid nodded in enthusiastic agreement. Most certainly, and only if you'd like to, dearie, mind you. You could always stay here with Karen and I, Sugar Cube Corner. It was too much. All of it. Everything. It was too much. This is rather sad. Pinkie collapsed to the bakery floor and began sobbing, curling inwards on herself as she cried, and not knowing just why she was crying so hard. She heard Applejack and her granny muttering to one another, but the words were too soft for her to make them out, and she felt some pony kneel close beside her, some pony warm and soft. And Pinkie caught the faintest whiffs of vanilla and cocoa. It's all right, whispered the baker soothingly as she gave the filly a brief nuzzle. Don't you worry, dearie. You don't have to decide anything at this moment. We really shouldn't have overwhelmed you like that. You have a gentle kiss onto the top of Pinkie's head. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Everything's going to be all right. After a moment's hesitation, Pinkie surrendered herself to the elder male's embrace, craving the comfort of physical affection. Unable to stop herself, even if she'd wanted to. Really, she wasn't all that sure she did want to stop herself, because right then and there, first time in a long time, she felt as though maybe things probably could be alright someday. This works. Scootaloo felt cold. She unfurled her wings as far as they go, then wrapped them tightly around herself in an attempt to retain some of her body. It didn't really work. Tucking her chin against her chest, she hunkered down in her hiding place and regretted that she hadn't fought it to swipe the life or something from sweet apple acres before she'd taken off. Bitterly, she wondered how she was supposed to get herself out of this old mess. She couldn't hide here forever, that much she knew. But she had no idea where she could go or what she could do. All she knew was that she couldn't leave Ponyville. She briefly considered it, but even just the thought of that possibility caused her chest to heave up so painfully that she felt like she'd taken a kick to the ribs. No, she couldn't leave Ponyville. Everything she'd done, everything she'd fought for, had been so that she could stay in this town with ponies and places she loved so dearly. Hidden as she was, she could still see a bit of sky. She found when she noticed a tiny white flecks were beginning to drift slowly through the air. She stepped aside. Snow. Great. Just great. It was going to be a long, cold night. She slept fitfully as the night wore on, her every sense set to high alert. She woke up at the tiniest noises, the soft hoot of a nearby owl, and the rustling of the wind through the streets, the grumbling of her own empty stomach. Scootaloo awoke when she heard the sudden intrusion of voices coming down from down below. I can't believe you just let her go! Get away! You're the fastest flyer in all Equestria! Hey, it wasn't my fault. She was on a little scooter and she's a lot speedier on that thing than you'd think. Besides, I was totally right behind her all the way up until she disappeared into the other three. A frustrated growl. Stupid trees made so I couldn't see where she went after that. Oh, for the love of all things fashionable, don't start that up again, you two. It's make Fluttershy cry. The poor dear can only be expected to stand so much in one day. Thank you, Rarity, but really, I'm okay. Wait. There came a sigh, exasperated and also familiar. I just wish we'd been able to find her somewhere in those woods, since we lost all those daylight hours searching the Everfree. Then a guilty tone. I wish this search and rescue spell worked more precisely than it does. I can tell we're getting nearer and that she's somewhere here in Ponyville, but I can't find exactly where. Maybe if I'd practiced doing... Wait! Scootaloo felt every muscle on her body coil up and tight and angry, so preparing for a fight. She held her breath and waited. Time for Pinkie Pie to work her magic, I suppose. That Pinkie Pie... I don't know why, but I felt like trying to do a Dukes of Hazzard thing, but it didn't work. So, yeah. Down below, the other ponies showed no momentary hush before Twilight asked, What? What is a Pinkie Pie? She's here, guys. Pinkie's speaking now. I think this is stealing her voice. Somewhere really, really close. Darling, how can you possibly... How does Pinkie know any of the stuff he knows? Touché. Alright, everybody. Twilight again, talking that take charge leader like way of hers. Let's fan out to search the area and see if we can find anything. I'll meet back right here in 10 minutes, okay? Scootaloo could hear faint mutterings as the ponies dispersed. She knew better than to relax, though. Knew better than let her jar down. She felt utterly vindicated when, only a few minutes later, she heard the soft pop of hooves come from behind. The quiet voice that suddenly cut through the darkness. Hi, Lulu. The Pegasus refused to turn around. I hate that name. she muttered, her teeth chattering a bit as she spoke. You. Pinkie Pie didn't reply, but the sound of her footsteps came closer and closer. Scootaloo both felt, and heard the other pony settle down beside her. Near enough that she could feel the warmth from Pinkie Pie's body. For several long moments, Scootaloo didn't move, and neither did Pinkie. Then the younger pony shifted over a bit. She nestled against the soft mare's side, drinking pleasant heat like a lizard in my basket on a rock on a nice spring day. Still, Pinkie didn't speak. Instead, she simply wrapped her foreleg around Scootaloo's shoulder and pulled her closer. They sat in the awkward silence for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a minute or two. Slowly, but surely, the younger pony stopped shivering. How'd you even find me? Scootaloo found herself asking. Did you use your Pinkie sense? Nah, not for this. I just asked myself. Self, where could Scootaloo be hiding? And then I thought about it, and then I answered myself. I said, Self, I bet you would hide just where Rainbow Dash would hide. Scootaloo blinked in surprise. Rainbow Dash would hide here? In the schoolhouse bell? Really? She glanced around at the old, cool, smooth metal of the large bell that surrounded them on all sides, before turning her head to finally look at Pinkie. Pinkie grinned. Oh no, not just would hide, but did hide. Huh. Scootaloo sat down with this knowledge for a few moments, unsure of what to think or how to respond, before venturing. Rainbow Dash was really brave, so how come she was hiding? Was there a monster? Oh, kinda? It was kinda something like that. Pinkie lapsed into nervous giggling. But anyways, the real question here is, why are you hiding? Scootaloo stared down at her hooves, feeling that same uncomfortable flutter in her stomach that she felt back at Applejack's barn. She said nothing. Pinkie's hug tightened a bit, and after a moment, Scootaloo let out the breath she'd been holding. I don't want to leave, she confessed very quietly, as though afraid to say the words aloud. There was a short pause when Pinkie spoke. Her voice was unusually solemn. You won't have to. But I don't. We'll make sure you won't have to, I promise. Suddenly Pinkie's hooves were cupping to Scootaloo's face, gently lifting her chin and forcing the young princess to look at the older pony. I promise, Scootaloo. Cross my heart and hope to fly, stick a cupcake in my eye. From listening to conversations Rarity had with Sweetie Belle and from Applejack talking to Apple Bloom, Scootaloo knew of the utter sanctity and seriousness of the Pinkie Pie promise. Especially from hearing that one story about the time Applejack went to work on a cherry orchard. Yeah, that time. Scootaloo bit her lip. Okay. She lowered her voice a little more than a whisper. She wasn't entirely sure just what she was agreeing to. Oh, yay! With a sudden fierce grin, Pinkie let go of the fillets up to her feet. Why don't we go around up the girls and have a sugar cube corner, get all warm and toasty? I can make us hot chocolate again. Pinkie is good. Especially when I have a cup of tea. Maybe I'll make some. Scootaloo found herself standing up, as well, almost as if her hooves had a mind of their own. To be honest, hot chocolate sounded like a really good idea right about then. To be honest, it sounded perfectly heavenly. As Pinkie began eagerly bounding down the ladder that led from the bell tower back to the ground, Scootaloo followed close behind. Pinkie turned around and flashed a tiny smile as soon as she reached the bottom. Hey, on the way back to Sugar Cube Corner, I can tell you a story. Scootaloo couldn't quite resist the urge to roll her eyes. And what story are you going to tell me? The one about how Equestria was made? No, silly, you already know that one. Pinkie snorted in mirth, but then her voice dropped low, and her face took on a serious expression. No, Lulu, I'm going to tell you about the story about how I made my first request ever in Ponyville. It started way back when I was an itty-bitty filly and still living on my parents' rock farm. Together, the two ponies began walking away from the schoolhouse as Pinkie continued speaking. There was a really bad accident. The rock slide over in the west field. Are you done cleaning there yet, dearie? Little pink filly prancing out of the kitchen, dish rag held between her teeth. With a jaunty toss of her head, she sent the rag flying all the way across the room, where it landed in a bucket of water with a small splash. All done, Mrs. Cake, he chirped. Sorry again about the teeny tiny explosion in the oven. After blinking dazedly at the water bucket for a few seconds, Mrs. Cake recovered herself enough to reply. Oh, that's all right, Pinkie. Muffins got finished on time, and that's the important thing. Her eyebrows knit together, though I'm still not quite sure how cookie batter ended up on the ceiling. Pinkie just giggled. Yeah, it seems like Pinkie. Mr. Cake walked out of the kitchen next, grinning broadly. Well, since a certain pink pony's been such a good helper in the bakery today, I think she should get a reward now that her shift's over. Don't you think so, Kate? Mrs. Cake returned her husband's grin with one of her own. Why, Carrie, I think that's a wonderful idea. And what do you think, Pinkie? Asked Mr. Cake, turning to the filly in question. Pinkie's eyes lit up like fireworks on the night of the Grand Galloping Gala. Yes, oh, pretty please! Philly began hopping up excitedly around the room, a fluffy pink pinball of energy, and drew a bemused chuckle from both the Cakes. I think yes, Mr. Cake. Roared! Ooh, yay! Oh my god, Pinkie. Mr. Cake reached out a hoof and gently grabbed Pinkie by the shoulder. Now settle down or else you won't be able to see your choices. Immediately the young pony froze, as the Celestia had commanded her. Her eyes went as wide as saucers. I get to choose? She murmured in an odd and reverent tone. Why, certainly, dearie. Mrs. Cake took a step back and gestured towards the bakery display case. You can choose whichever muffin, cookie you'd like. Leaping forward, Pinkie pressed her snout against the cool, smooth glass of the smooth glass of the display. Her breath quickly fogged up in the glass, and she wiped her foreleg across the case's window to clear the view as she gazed in rapture. There were rows upon rows of enticing treats, almost too many to bear to look upon. Finally, she spotted the perfect one. That one, she said, jabbing her small pink hoof towards one of the muffins. Can I have that one? Of course you can. Soon enough, the muffin of her desire was all packaged up, nice and neat, and Pinkie Pie was carrying off her spoils in triumph. Immediately she stood off towards the marketplace at a brisk trot. On her way there, she passed by a number of ponies who she'd come to recognize over the last few weeks, and gave each a bright smile. She received a smile and a nod from each pony in turn, and she felt so incredibly happy. The happiness welled within her chest to such an extent, in fact, that she thought she just might explode. Maybe even twice. It's like my little Dashie all over again. I know the meme is overused, but my heart exploded. Again. I might read that next. I don't know. I enjoyed this, though. She reached the marketplace in just a few minutes, and with little trouble, she found the Apple family's fruit stand. Granny Smith and Big Macintosh greeted her with cheery waves as soon as they spotted her making her way towards them. But Applejack didn't so much as crack a grin. Why so glum, chum? Pinkie asked her friend as soon as she was within speaking range. The orange filly shrugged. Oh, don't mind me. Just being a bit sore, selling out some prissy white uniform filly who came by early this morning. So I was getting mud all over the apples. She upped a bit and stamped her foot. Ain't no mud in my hooves. I was just 3 days ago. Pinkie set down her pack and grabbed one of Applejack's hooves between her own. She studied it carefully. Nope, you're right. No mud. Applejack kneed her back with a leg and rolled her eyes. I know. Oh, that's what I said. Swift thus budget unicorn. She glanced towards the package. That's enough of my belly making. What you got there, Sugar Cube? Oh. Pinkie had already forgotten that she brought someone with her. But now that she remembered, she began hopping up and down and exciting. It's a present, Applejack. A present for you. Oh. Pinkie swiftly knelt down to pick it up, and she placed it on the top of the apple stand so that it was within easy reach of her friend. A small but genuine grin, the other filly tore open the package. Well, boy howdy, a muffin? She took a sniff. Yeah, it's an apple walnut muffin too. If my nose don't deceive. Sure is. You didn't have to give me any present, you know, said Applejack, even as she began heartily munching on the muffin in front of her and glaring daggers at her very interesting and hungry looking brother. Pinkie smiled a tiny quiet smile. Yes, I did. Sorry, I was reading the opposite notes there. It was weird. Anyway, that is the end of chapter 5. And we are on to the next chapter, the very short chapter I might add, of chapter 6, which makes everything happy ending like. Which is very nice, if you ask me. And, I picked out, the next song. This is the Dead Island theme. I love this song to death. Anyway, next chapter. How long is this? It's pretty fucking long. No, I enjoy it. So don't be afraid to let them show. Your true colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Cindy Lauper, True Colors. Outside a small, cozy cottage located right in the center of Ponyville stood 4 ponies, 3 young mares, and a filly. The cottage was a very picture of friendliness, with well-planted rose bushes along the exterior and a bright, cheery "Welcome" mat set out before the front door. Yeah, 1 second. Freaking program. Nose. Don't want to. But to the filly, the house might as well have been the gloomiest, creepiest dungeon in all of Equestria. don't know about this, began Scootaloo, frowning darkly. Rainbow Dash gave the filly a rough pat on the head. Well, it's a good thing nobody asked you then, isn't it? They're just so weird. Hey now, that isn't polite. Applejack saw a disapproving stare in Scootaloo's direction. Kind of look only an older sister would bestow. Besides, they're a perfectly nice couple. Actually, kid's got a point. Dash muttered, squinting at the cottage door and bringing her chin awfully. Or the way that unicorns are always sitting on park benches. Total freaky town, AJ. I mean, how did she even bend her legs like that? You can probably see who these people are already, just based on that. Oh, Applejack harumphed. Harumph. Hey, but Ash, you ain't helping here. It was at this point in the conversation that Pinkie Pie took a step forward and placed a hoof on the Pegasus filly's shoulder. Leaning down so that her mouth was right next to Scootaloo's ear, she whispered, "Don't listen to those two silly billies. Lyra and Ballman are both super awesome ponies, and you're gonna like them lots." Scootaloo swallowed nervously. Do you Pinkie promise that they'll really like, that I'll like them? Cross my heart and hope it flies, stick a cupcake in my eye. Pinkie gave the young Pegasus shoulder a quick squeeze before silently letting it out. And don't worry, Lulu, Ada's gonna love you as much as we do. Scootaloo smiled a bit despite herself. Still hit that name, just so you know. That's trouble. Pinkie just grinned back at her, reaching out with a hoof, and rapped sharply on the cottage door, almost instantly, muffled. Excited sounding voices could be heard from inside the house, and a loud crash quickly followed. The three adults outside all traded puzzled looks among one another, while Scootaloo stood ramrod still. A few moments passed, and the door flew open. A turquoise unicorn and a cream-colored earth pony appeared in the doorway. A broad grin nearly split the unicorn's face in two, while the earth pony's smile was much smaller and seemed a bit uncertain. Howdy, Mrs. and Mrs. Heartstrings? I like that. Mrs. and Mrs. Heartstrings. Applejack began in a friendly tone, touching a hoof to the brim of her hat and greeting. Unicorn snorted, her eyes twinkling. Mrs. Heartstrings? Oh, goodness, no. Mrs. Heartstrings is my mother. Just come in with her, please. She tilted her head and indicated the earth pony beside her. And this amazing, beautiful lady right here is Bon Bon! Bon Bon! The earth pony rolled her eyes, but a blush stole its way across her cheeks nonetheless. Do yourselves a favor and listen to the word she says. I sure don't. Nice. Tentatively, she looked down at Scootaloo and added, in a soft voice, and you must be little Scootaloo. Scootaloo just stared. Only after Applejack gave her a too subtle nudge did she remember herself and managed to stammer out, yeah, Scootaloo, that's me. Well, it's good to meet you, Scootaloo. I love Lyra's energy. Still beaming, Lyra gave the filly a wink. I gotta admit, I didn't think the agency would be sending us Pegasus, but never fear! I have everything all planned out. Immediately, Bon Bon frowned. What do you mean you have everything? Hang gliders! That's how we're going to teach you how to fly and stuff. Kite string, or bungee cords. I haven't quite decided yet. I love Lyra so much in this. She's just so full of energy. Scootaloo couldn't stop the delighted grin from overtaking her face. It was right about then as Bon began protesting Lyra's plans and stretched him and with an offer to help with flying lessons as Pinkie began babbling animatedly about her Pinkie flyer and Applejack tried in vain to shush the over-enthusiastic pink mare that Scootaloo said that maybe all this would turn out okay. Maybe, just maybe, all this could even end up being pretty cool. At the least, it shouldn't be boring. She was not going to cry. By the way, she was not going to cry. No way, no how. Not going to happen. She was Pinkie Diana Pie, conqueror of Nightmare Noon. Oh wait, no, it's just slightly different. Conqueror of Nightmare Noon, defeater of discord, inventor of the pot cannoning poos of more songs than any other pony in Ponyville. And she was absolutely not going to cry. It's suddenly I'm Scottish. Why? She made the decision as she walked away from Lyra and Balmont's house home at a surprisingly lethargic pace, with Rainbow Dash and Applejack flanking her on either side. Given that Dash and Applejack were two of the toughest, roughest ponies she knew, she redoubled her efforts to not give in to the tears that stung in her eyes or that choking feeling that held in her throat. A tiny sniffle escaped the pink earth pony nonetheless. Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes so hard that Pinkie was a bit worried that Pegasus might actually sprain a facial muscle. She's just living with Lyra and Bon Bon, said Dash with a dismissive snort. She's going to be right here down the street from Sugar Cube Corner. It's not like she's been banished to the moon or something. I know that. And she did know. She really, truly did. But it won't be the same. Applejack told. Nothing stays the same, Sugar Cube. Spring turns to summer, summer turns to fall. That's how the world works. I wish if only I could have. Pinkie felt Applejack and Rainbow both leading against her, one on each side, their strength supporting her. A rush of gratitude overtook her, and Pinkie allowed herself to close her eyes and just bask in the warmth of love of her two friends. You did the right thing, Pinkie. Applejack's voice was sympathetic and kind. Besides, ain't no way you could have spoiled a feeling what you make from the bakery. Dash enthusiastically chimed in too. Yeah, totally. And Lyra and Balmont are both pretty cool ponies, so we know Scoots is in good hooves. Well, I'm not worried about that. Lyra and Balmont are the besties. Just, Applejack leaned over and gave her a nuzzle in a quiet voice. The farm pony said, ain't no point in dwelling on what might have been. Me and you, we both know that pretty well by now, I reckon. Gotta focus on what you still do have, and not on what you lost. Pinkie nodded sadly. Applejack was right. And Applejack was pretty much always right, really, which was kind of comforting and kind of annoying both at once. But just because Applejack was right, it didn't mean what she was suggesting was necessarily easy. Pinkie's thoughts were interrupted by a groan that originated from Rainbow Dash. You two are seriously bumming me out here. Dash rose, throwing in another eye roll for good measure. But even as she complained, a small smile played on her lips. Enough of this. Let's go to Sugar Cube Corner and see if the cakes are made anything with those red or rainbow sprinkles on them. Rainbow sprinkles? Applejack raised an eyebrow. Heck yeah, Dash sighed dreamily. Love those rainbow sprinkles. Well, the Scott Cookies didn't have them yet. But as the three ponies began heading for the bakery, Pinkie felt herself cheering up a bit. She loved rainbow sprinkles almost as much as Dash did, after all. She was spending the afternoon with the two most awesome friends a pony ever had. Plus, they'd finally found a home for Scootaloo, a home right here in Ponyville, a home with nice ponies who looked after her and love her and feed her. Pinkie Pie would have to be a very silly filly indeed to feel down in the dumps, considering all the reasons she had to be happy. Because, really, everything was turning out pretty okay. A few weeks later, Scootaloo found herself standing inside the door to Sugar Cube Corner, awkwardly shuffling her hooves. The bakery shop had been closed for an entire 20 minutes, and yet she remained firmly rooted to the spot. This whole task of raising a hoop and knocking seemed utterly beyond her capabilities. A soft laugh came from her left. Will we just go on and knock already? Abloom urged, sounding annoyed, and giving Pegasus a hard shove for shoulder. Scootaloo didn't budge. Well, she doesn't want to see me. She's Pinkie Pie. Over to the right, Sweetbell laughed. She always wants to see every pony. That was undeniably true. But for some reason, Scootaloo didn't seem to find it very reassuring. A small sigh escaped her. Oh, for Celestia's sake! Abloom took a step forward, and before Scootaloo could do anything to stop her, knocked loudly on the bakery door. There, now was that so hard? Scootaloo glared at her Earth Pony friend, harder than she'd ever glared before in her entire life. Abloom just grinned. Meanwhile, from inside the shop, ringing out a familiar perky voice. Coming! Be there in free shakes of a dragon's tail. Applebloom and Sweetbell exchanged highly satisfied looks with one another, while Scootaloo kept right on glaring. Then Sweetbell leaned over and wrapped her legs around the irate Pegasus, giving a gentle squeeze. It's gonna be fine, Scoots. I'm still calling her Scoots, so shut up. It's my neighbor. Unicorn murmured encouragingly before letting go. And with that, the two wingless members of the Key Marseilles dashed off. Just in time for the door to Sugar Cube Corner to swing wide open. Pinkie Pie looked around for a moment before she seemed to finally catch sight of Pegasus filly, sitting a few feet away. All the pony's eyes went wide in surprise, and Scootaloo felt her heart began to sink. Maybe this hadn't been such a good idea after all. I can still come over, right? Scootaloo blurted out, her tone apprehensive. Either I'm staying with Bonbon and Lyra now. Pinkie smiled with one of her huge trademark smiles, but the smile looked a bit wobbly at the edges. You better still come over, Missy, or Scummy will be very, very upset with you. She glanced away as she nodded, almost an afterthought. He misses you a lot, you know. Staring down at her hooves, Scootaloo whispered, I miss Scummy too. There was a long, uncomfortable silence, and Scootaloo felt a four-like grab around her neck and began dragging her inside the bakery. She didn't bother to resist, as well as she knew. Resistance was futile. Once upstairs, Pinkie deposited her onto a chair in the apartment. Pinkie suddenly cocked her head at the young filly. Say, do you want to help me plan my next party? A party? Pizza party for everyone. A party? Scootaloo perked up a bit, and all the time she'd been spending with Pinkie over the last several months, for some reason she'd never been asked to help plan a party. Is this going to be just because party, or is there going to be a party that's for some pony? Please say it's for Rainbow Dash. Please say it's for Rainbow Dash. She added silently, her heart soared with hope. Please say Rainbow Dash. Please say Rainbow Dash. Please say Rainbow Dash. It's Applejack. Next week is her birthday. Pinkie's eyes grew very thoughtful, almost serious. I'm going to need a lot of help because this has got to be the biggest and bestest party I've ever thrown, Lulu. Biggest and bestest. Both. Pinkie laughed, a great big laugh from the belly. Hearty laugh. And laugh echoed happily through the entire room. Well, duh, because I promised. I got a fun fact for you there. Author's notes. Yet again, I must give due credit to the beloved spouse. Well, I knew that I wanted somebody other than Pinkie to be the one to go to Scootaloo. I couldn't decide who. It was my spouse who suggested Larry Mama. As always, thank you for reading. On that note, thank you for listening, actually, because you didn't read the story. I'm the one who read the story. Blah. Besides the point, however, I enjoyed that very much so. I hope you all enjoyed as well. Holy shit, there's going to be a video and a half to render. I knew I enjoyed it. This is by far one of my favorite stories of all time. Just because it really makes me like Pinkie Pie so much, because just very emotional and heartfelt, and I love this story to death. I'm going to do a few others like this one. Just going to take a break from the clop fictions and the comedy. Make it not exactly grimdark, but whatever. And, yeah. That's it. And, hope you all enjoyed. I don't know what I'm going to be reading next. By the time this goes up, I probably go out like a couple days from now, actually. But if you do have anything you really want me to read, just send me a link via the YouTube. Just, like, literally just send me a message, I'll probably find it. But anyway, I did hear about a story a long time ago from a mystical man known as Jin Rollins 211. So I might try that. For now, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye. I'm probably gonna make some tea. I'm talking too long.